Welcome back. That song, of course, goes out to the peach and coconut himself, Big D. And speaking of Big D, he actually conducted an interview for DC Comics with Kelly Thompson. And in lieu of listener emails, I thought that I would read this particular interview. So the title is The Sky's the Limit for Kelly Thompson's all new Birds of Prey. So here are the questions and then, of course, the responses. When the decision came to start a new Birds of Prey series, how was it decided to begin with an entirely new roster? Well, I think the origin is DC executive editor Ben Abernathy asking me if I'd like to pitch a Birds of Prey book and me yelling yes. And when I discovered that they were very open and didn't have a lot of prerequisites, I just began digging into what I would want to write. I felt like, what if I only get one shot at writing for DC? So I shot for the moon. I asked for everyone I wanted, and they just kept saying yes. That almost never happens. So I just kept going and hoping I wasn't dreaming it. Big D comes back as a card carrying Cassandra Cain fan. I was thrilled to learn she would be included in the BOP at last. What's Cassandra's role in the team, and can you speak to what her relationship is like with Dinah? This is a great question, but I sort of hate to answer it because I feel like the book sums this up very specifically. In the book, Cassandra is quite literally the answer to all of Dinah's problems when she's trying to build this team and struggling to do it without Barbara. Cass obviously fills a different role for Dinah than Barbara does, but it's still someone incredibly talented and reliable at this kind of thing, which is also, or who's also eminently trustworthy and good, which isn't always something that comes easy when you're building a team that's dangerous. I've been waiting my whole life to write Cassandra Cain, so the stakes were high, and I hope I'm nailing it. Laughs. Harley Quinn is definitely the wild card of this new team. Can we expect to see Harley as more of a hero in Birds of Prey, or will she serve as a foil to challenge the more traditionally heroic birds? Harley is on her best behavior. Okay, whatever that means in terms of Harley in Birds of Prey. She's, of course, still Harley, but she and Dinah have some conversations in the first two issues that make it clear how high the stakes are. And at the end of the day, Harley's there because she believes in the mission and she wouldn't do anything to risk that. She's always going to be a bit of oil to other characters' water. That's part of her great charm and flexibility, but she's about being additive here, not destructive. She'll still find ways to make her own fun, though. Don't worry. In terms of strength, this is by far the most stacked Birds of Prey team ever. Was it difficult to write missions that would challenge the likes of Zealot, Big Barda, and Cassandra issue by issue? Definitely not, but that's simply because I built the team backwards. I knew what our basic plot structure was, who they'd be going up against, and what they'd need to fight it or them. And then I built the team out as organically as possible to fit that plot. As an aside, this is Stella. Um, that's just because I'm, finishing up my master's degree in education. That's Understanding by Design by McTie and Wiggins. Backwards design, where you design the assessment first, and then you plan the unit from that. And you have your course goals and everything first, and then you go backwards. So, FYI, that is what Thompson just said that she did. Okay, back to this. I certainly put my finger on the scale to get the team I wanted, but I did that by devising a plot that fit them very well. I think the only real challenge with this awesome team is that they're all so good and cool to play with that you have to be very careful that everyone gets their moments. The formation of this team specifically invokes the theme of family regarding how some of the members join and Dinah's reasons specifically. Will the Birds of Prey be more of a family unit, or are the five members too different to ever become that close? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I hope by the end of this arc, nobody will want me to change the team. They're absolutely going to the mat for each other here, facing incredible odds with someone they basically all respect and fear. And you don't do that for people if you don't like them. It bonds you in a powerful way. So I think they'll be very close by the time we get to issue number 6. The cast will likely change a bit after that, but my greatest hope is that by the time we get to number 6, nobody wants anything to change. Well, everyone will still want Barbara, but other than that, and laughs. So good job there, Big D, with your interview. And I think, yes, the glaring question and the glaring absence on this team is, of course, Barbara Gordon. And I do have questions about that. Just what's going on there? Was that someone that Thompson didn't want on her team, or was that one of the prerequisites that she talked about that DC editorial had? No Barbara. And in that case, I do kind of wonder why. But in any case, we're about to do Birds of Prey #1 and talk about that issue. Now, no need to adjust your screens. My video is in fact off. It's just really early, and I decided to sit in a more comfortable spot than the chair that I normally sit in with the backdrop and everything. So rest assured, part 1 will have video because this will be out of order. I'm just, got to find time when I can. So let's get to it. Birds of Prey #1, Megadeth Part 1, writer Kelly Thompson, art Leonardo Romero, colorist Jordi Belair. And an editor's note is that this takes place after Green Arrow #6, which means nothing to me, but may to you. And also, because I'm very short on time, I will be lazy. And I'll probably repeat this in part 1, but I'm going to be lazy for the next couple months because I am writing my master's thesis or dissertation. And yeah, so I'm just going to be taking synopses from other people to cut down on the amount of writing I need to do. So this was taken by either Jamie or Jaime Remolda over at the Batman universe. So thank you very much. Megadeth opens with Black Canary, Donna Lance, and Green Arrow, Oliver Queen, discussing the gathering of the team. The only clear instructions for Dinah is that Barbara Gordon cannot be involved. Dinah is making a list and checking it over with Ollie. Ollie is impressed, but he wants someone on the team that can watch Dinah's back. This is a cryptic statement, making the reader think that the people Dinah is gathering cannot be trusted. Dinah does have an ace in the hole to Ollie's request. The scene shifts to a battle. Batgirl, Cassandra Cain, is fighting a group of ninja. She is handling her own, but it looks like she may be overwhelmed by the sheer number of her adversaries. That is until Donna Lance arrives and the two beat back the ninja. Donna then asks Cass if she will join her team. Cass immediately agrees. There's nothing more important than helping a sister. The two separate to gather more members of the team. Cass's destination is Los Angeles. I did have a question about that. I just remembered. She finds a fight in a bar. Big Barda is fighting a cadre of vampires. Barda unintentionally punches Cass before she realizes who she is and apologizes to Batgirl. That's why you never walk up on somebody unannounced. Barda helps Cassandra up from the floor and explains that the vampires are disciples of a former teammate of hers, Bloody Mary. These guys are just insects, but she does ask the quote-unquote small bat if she will assist. True to character, Cass immediately agrees, and the two face off with the vampires. As with Dinah and the ninja, these two handle the obstacle with ease. Now, Cass explains why she is in LA. She wants to ask Barda to join the team. Barda at first declines, but when Cass mentions sin, Barda agrees. Elsewhere in Star City, a sleeping woman hears a call. She responds despite a dry throat because of whistling and starts to get dressed. This awakens her male companion, ooh la la. It is revealed that the woman is Zealot and the call came from Black Canary. She greets Grifter and talks on the balcony with Zealot. Dinah is calling in a favor and Zealot agrees to join the team. The four warriors are now gathered together. Dinah, however, says they need a fifth member. Dinah thinks they are missing an X factor, and Cass has an idea. She suggests Harley Quinn. Dinah shoots it down, but Cass relates a story where she fights Quinn. The story is very short, and according to the other characters, she used very few words. The point of the story was that Harley almost beat her. Take note there, Big B. And Harley Quinn is the unexpected or the X Factor. In Gotham City, Harley is fighting a group of clowns. Black Canary swoops in and uses her canary cry to knock out the combatants. Harley then sees all four warriors and immediately calls them a kill squad. Dinah tells her they are not a kill squad, but they want her on the team. Harley is in awe with the four warriors, and Dinah tells the clown to forget it. Harley snaps back, and Dinah turns to go. Cass grabs Dinah's arm and tells her it's for sin. This piques Dinah's attention, and Dinah clarifies that Cass is referring to Cynthia Lance. Harley knows the girl and immediately says she wants in. Harley tells them the reason is that she does not like it when people mess with cool-ass little girls, and she wants to make sure that they grow up into cool-ass women. Now the 5 team members gather in the current Birds of Prey base of operations in Gotham. Dinah introduces the team to Meridian. She's from the future, and in this timeline, she is known as Maps or Mia Mizoguchi. So there's the big mic drop, I would say. She's in this time to help the team break into Themyscira and really onto, isn't it? And rescue Sin from the Amazons before the end of the world is ushered in. Next we've made a horrible mistake. Okay. So I was coming into this book with low, perhaps no expectations. We hear, oh, it's another Birds of Prey. This is volume 5, by the way. And there's no Barbara Gordon. It's a really weird team. So really, I was just like, whatever happens, happens. People are asking if I was going to cover it without Barbara. I'm like, yeah, might as well. I'm doing Birds of Prey all the time, but really no emotional connection to it. I do like Kelly Thompson. I read her from the Hawkeye, the Kate Bishop Hawkeye, and Captain Marvel, so I knew that she had the writing chops. But I've liked other writers on this title or Batgirl, and their storytelling often gets hamstrung by DC and it just doesn't turn out well. And again, there is no Barbara Gordon that I could see. So that's how I was going into it. Well, I am here to say that I capital LOVED loved this issue. I stick with the statement that it's a weird as hell team, but the way it is written makes you forget about all of that. Thompson writes each character with their own individual voice that perfectly matches them. You have Barda with her awkward formality, like she's new here, here as in like planet Earth. You have Harley with her zaniness and it falling flat because no one on that team really has a sense of humor, but she's going to keep pushing it. Dinah and her leadership, her sense of duty, and queer struggles with what she has to do uh, in regards to sin, as well as keeping it secret from Barbara. And Cass with her inability to tell a story, which was actually my favorite part, I think, and thought that it was very hilarious. The ending, if I were to begin there, blew my mind. This is not what I was expecting. I was actually thinking through, actually, if I go back to the top, as I was looking through the names that Dinah had on her list, my initial, before I even got to this particular page, was thinking, okay, who would be, somewhat maybe tangentially or maybe more closely related to sin with this sort of storyline, and also someone who wouldn't want Barbara to get involved. So she knows Barbara enough, or yeah, someone. And I thought Lady Shiva would be a good pick, but as you can see, she was scribbled out, which is interesting that it looks like the people who are kind of lean more villainous or scribbled, and then there are just lines through the other people. So once we get to the end and it's revealed who this person is, Meridian, aka Maps, I was like, what the heck is going on? Just the fact that it is an adult Maps has me super excited. I don't know how much, obviously, we're going to get into what is that future like, because I mean, what is it going to be? Days of Future Past, and we'll see what Maps is dealing with, and that maybe, I mean, that could be potentially really cool. But obviously, coming through time, warning of an upcoming apocalypse. Now, we've dealt with these before. This is not new. This might be like the only negative point I would have about it is like, oh, same old, where it's an apocalypse issue. We've got to somehow interrupt this timeline and figure it out. But the fact that, again, Maps, we've got Sin, whom we haven't seen in a while, and then the Amazons are involved. I mean, this definitely has me intrigued. And also, given this team and breaking into, kind of feels like an Ocean's 8 situation, bunch of women together and they're about to do this big heist or something. So I'm definitely interested. Um, I also love the art. I I guess I have like two extremes in my love of comic art. I do love the really bold kind of rock and roll style, like Robbie Rodriguez, but then I love this vintage feel, very clean, no unnecessary elements, and then kind of a faded coloring that we have here that for me is very reminiscent of Marcos Martin and I feel like that's just kind of in my DNA because of Batgirl Year One and Robin Year One. So this is definitely, yeah, I'm loving this artist. I hope that he is on for at least the first arc, but I that would be awesome if he continues. I love Dinah's outfit that we have. I guess I should go to the end. The design. Mm-mm-mm. Can you see a full frontal? Yeah. Just love the design of her costume. And I love the respectful figures on the women. So we are not top heavy. Guess kind of you get that sense here. Even with Harley, who has potentially, she might be showing the most skin. Yeah, you get a little cleavage, but it's not over the top. And of course, this is coming from what the Ben is that I'm covering in 2004 versus now. But just yeah, I love this art. I think everyone is drawn very well and distinct styles to that fit their character, and then body shape all makes sense. So this roster, quite interesting. I never would have seen any of these people together. I think the only people that really make sense that I would have expected were would be, of course, Dinah and Cass. Zealot is someone that I don't have any background on. So nice little Wildstorm pull and someone that I'll have to potentially do research on, or we'll see maybe if the story and the issues that follow kind of give us more background because if I'm a new reader, which let's just pretend I am, right now I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are necessarily. And so it'll be interesting if we've got to do our outside research or it can just be embedded in the actual story. And then we've got a new god. So we definitely have, I think, a bruiser, the leader, someone who, yeah, the X Factor with Harley. Uh, and then I don't know about Zealot's fighting style, so I think we'll see. Um, I would imagine that kind of the strength is between Barda and Cass. And then with Cass, I think you kind of have sleek assassin style. So I think everyone's bringing something different to the table. And of course, Donna, you've got a metahuman, so she has that as well. If I go back, it was just interesting to see the different people who were crossed off on this list. Barbara at the top and cross off Vixen. You have Grace Choi, Huntress, Selena, Shiva, Talia, and Cheshire. And I couldn't read that top one. It was like Quick or something like that. Katana is there. Man Hunter. Gosh, I haven't seen her in a while either. Zatanna, Black Alice. That's another interesting pull. And Fire slash Ice, which is interesting that you don't just pull one of them, but they come as a package deal. So interesting choices there and very much the exception maybe a Black Alice. I remember doing some research on her. um I just don't know who that one at the top is. Quick, so if anyone knows who that might be, it looks like it's Quik, but yeah, so just interesting choices and the ones that she decides to go with. The fact that Huntress wasn't chosen, so these might have been some Thompson ideas, and I also wouldn't count them out 100% because I could imagine maybe coming back to them. One of the questions I have, of course, is why no Barbara Gordon? I do wonder if this was a Thompson choice or a DC comic prerequisite, as was stated in the interview, and whether Barbara, maybe after this initial arc, because Maps is saying no Barbara, if she'll join or be asked to join or told about what's been going on. And then I guess it'll be story related, why Maps is saying no Barbara. It's pretty interesting. This is an awesome page just with all the stuff that's happening and Cass and Dinah being back to back and then going off into the kind of a circle of ninja. Very cool. I love how easy it is for Cass to agree. I think that's definitely in line with her character, but I do wonder why she doesn't push a little bit more on Barbara. She does say, I can't talk about it. What does Dinah say? I can't explain right now, but we can't tell Barbara about this. And there is a dot, dot, dot. There is an ellipsis. And then Cass says, all right. So maybe there's some hesitancy, but I guess I would have wanted a little bit more pushback. But this this era of DC and the relationship between Cass and Barbara is not as strong as it would have been in the previous iteration. So perhaps, she's not going to push as much, whereas maybe someone else with a strong relationship would have been. But this is interesting. Can't you give me anything else about why Babs can't be a part of the team? But it's also like Kelly Thompson is talking to us as well. Like, I can't talk about it right now, but she can't be on this team. So maybe it'll pop up. I do love the Barda and Cass, the first meet, which again, announce yourself. And then there's just respect after that because Barbara said basically that anyone else would have been destroyed with that particular punch, but Cass did not get destroyed. And just this relationship, I think, is probably my favorite right now. I think you would expect Dinah and Cass to get along really well, but this seems like a fun relationship that I can't wait to see explored a little more. I do wonder how Cassandra was able to get over to Los Angeles. I mean, where's that money coming from? I suppose I'll ask if she took a flight, which actually begs the bigger question of finances on this team, because if you recall, in the original Birds of Prey, Babs was hacking Blockbuster's account and taking that money. So where are the finances coming for this and the technology without Barbara's backing? I don't know where Don is getting that, but perhaps we'll find out. The Cass and Harley scene was another favorite, especially because Cass, I think, goes into this particular fight thinking it's just going to be like anyone else, but then quickly realizes that she can't look at Harley and figure out what she's going to be doing. So just this particular page, I love that Cass is going in. Cass thinks that Harley's going to grab a frying pan, which is right there. Her thought is cut off, and actually Harley grabbed a fish to hit her with, and then the fish goes flying, and all of this chaos happens, and a bookshelf falls. It was nuts. But the best part of that, of course, is that because she was about to tell a story, right? Zealot has no idea. Dinah's confused. Bart is smiling and saying, "Small bat, that was hardly a story. You barely spoke." And then Zealot said, "Yeah, you should not tell stories. This is not your strength." So that whole scene, I think, is really funny and goes to show, Cass is going to be Cass, but I think it's going to be played a bit lighter. And I think that Thompson is able to balance the line right between some humor and like, let's not get into disrespect because, Cass can't speak 100% like, she doesn't speak like the average person, I guess we'll say. Let's see. I do like Harley calling Dinah out because Dinah is really dismissive of Harley. She listened to Cash. She kind of wanted to give the benefit of the doubt. Takes one look at Harley and is like, "No, no, no, this is not going to work." And Harley calls her out. Um, I think mostly for just not having a posture of openness or willingness. Like Dinah didn't come in being open to that, and Harley calls her out on that, and picks up on that, and uh, I like that Cass stops Dinah in that moment and asks her to consider, what's actually at stake. And it also shows us, I think, we're dealing with a different type of Harley here, someone who cares but will still do wild things. So she is, I think, Dr. Quinzel for sure here. She was sizing Dinah up and using some of that psychology that she knows. So I think we'll see a smarter but wild Harley in this particular book. And yeah, I think the last question, of course, would just be about Sin. I think this was pointed out on X at one point by somebody that if Sin is 16, how old is everybody else, especially Cass? Honestly, I don't know. Cass, I imagine she might be in her 20s. It's very confusing just because of the Batgirl's title that they were clearly young. Um, and you would think that maybe Cass is older than Sin. So is she in her 20s? And then what about Barbara? I don't know. I don't know. I think this is all a mess. I'm not going to blame Thompson for this, but it's just DC Comics, I think. Remember when they used to have a timeline? It was very nice. I guess it was the 52. And then now it's just gotten out of control again. So nothing's consistent. But yep, Sin is 16. So just keep that in mind. And I think that's all I have to say about that. Just those, yeah, I mean, the big question, of course, is just, Barbara and her absence. I think I'll just keep asking that until more information is told to us, but it might be story related or perhaps made into a story related point to work with some prerequisites. So we shall see. But all that to say, I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10 birds, which is very shocking, I know, because I do like to pull things apart. But I honestly have no problems with this, just some questions. And then, I mean, I think it was a great opening issue. And you can't ask too much, I think, of a writer the first issue. So the question, like Zealot, backstory, um, are we going to get that kind of stuff? Maps, what's going on there? Barbara, we only have what 22 pages, so I'm not going to be like these should have been answered. But I am looking forward to all those particular points. So, yes, we'll see what the birds of prey. So I guess it's here to stay on my show at least. So at least it's something that I enjoyed. Okay. Oof. Well, now it is time for literature recommendations. And I feel like my reading has slowed down enormously because of grad school returning back. But let's pull up and see where we have. Okay. I bought when I was in T-Ticket, bought a book as a souvenir, Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. I gave that 5 stars out of 5. And that is about a young man whose brother is shot and he believes that he knows who did it. And I think he goes into the elevator with a gun in his pants and he's going to go and shoot that kid, I guess, that man. And he has 7 floors to get down, and each floor someone comes on and talks to him. And I won't spoil what it is, but it is also a novel in verse. But I highly recommend that. Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I like how it was formatted in an interview style, and this was definitely better than the Goon Squad. Which Tom thought that it was kind of going to be the same. But for Tom, I highly recommend Daisy Jones and the Six. And then I've yet to watch the show, but I'm interested in that. Read Carrie by Stephen King. And that is also the October episode of Required Reading. And I watched the film for the first time. And Family of Liars by E. Lockhart, which I accidentally discovered when I was at my hometown's shopping mall, showing one of my friends around for Labor Day weekend, and went into Barnes and Noble, and there was this. I'm like, oh my gosh, because I had read We Were Liars several years ago, and this is a prequel, and I enjoyed it. Probably, maybe not as much as We Were Liars, but I did enjoy it. So if you liked that, the original, then I recommend checking it out. Okay, so that's it for me on this part, anyways. Remember, you can send any questions or comments to backrollauracle@gmail.com. Like the show on Facebook or follow it on Twitter @backrollauracle. Subscribe to the show on YouTube for an uncut version where I might be slow talking because it's early morning, but we'll get there, folks. We'll get there. Follow the Batman Universe on Facebook and Twitter as well, and support the Batman Universe by subscribing to Patreon. Once again, thanks to Mile High Comics for sponsoring Backroll the Oracle, the Barbara Gordon podcast. And until next time, fly on, Babs lovers.